Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Monica Richardson. Please subscribe, smash the like button, and share wherever you'd like. So I'm going to do a part 2 of why is AA a cult? Yes, it's definitely a cult. And I mentioned all these other things in there, but still you get the pushback. You have people say things of why it isn't and that where's the leader? The leader's dead. Well, I think there are cults where maybe like Scientology, where the original leader is dead. And then, you have the Miscavige guy who stepped in and they have a guy. But with Alcoholics Anonymous, it's an institution also in America. It's an institution. People think that this is good. Why would they think that? They would think it because Dick Van Dyke is a member and Bradley Cooper is a member, and you have Elton John is an outed member, and you just had somebody else who is a wonderful actor, Anthony Hopkins. So why is it that these people would even go? Why would they? Well, first of all, a lot of them don't go to normal meetings where they're treated like normal people. So if you're a star and you go to a meeting, you're going to be treated differently, and so a lot of them wind up going to very small meetings. The only I've seen Anthony Hopkins in a big meeting, but that's not a normal meeting. So you go to a giant speaker meeting, there's 200 or 300 people, and he's standing in back and he's smiling and being very nice. Okay, so what makes AA a cult? What makes AA a cult is they say that only we can help you. Not true. Absolutely not true. If you leave, you will die, drink, go insane, or go to prison. Also not true. So there are people, there's somewhere like 4,000 people in the 2 Facebook groups that have left. And during the pandemic, we saw a ton of people leaving Alcoholics Anonymous because they went onto Zoom and people were like, I don't really need this, right? So people really woke up and they were like, what? I'm sitting at home, I'm behind a screen, and then you kind of can see things differently in this context, right? So also, here's the other problem that a lot of people have is the ideology, stuff about forgiveness, people who had childhood trauma, people who were molested as children, harmed as children, rape victims, assault victims are told, you should forgive. You should forgive your predator. That's nuts. Nobody ever needs to forgive a predator, right? I mean, you decide down the line if after somebody does therapy or they do work or trauma work, but that's not necessary to heal from trauma. And I think that people I just went to see Women Talking, right? Fabulous film. And it's about the Mennonites. It's like a Mennonites. This thing really happened in 2000. It was in Bolivia. And why do they go to like some, really place where there's not a lot of people so they can hide what they're doing, right? So they did catch the men, and the film has a good ending, but I noticed that there was a lot of similarity with the talk back and forth with the women about forgiveness. What do you need to forgive? Does God really think that, you need to forgive an atrocity where a child gets assaulted? And of course, we would all say no, right? Except if you were in a religious cult, then you might not. Or if you're in Scientology, they believe it's all your fault. It's always your fault. But in AA, it's always your fault. What is your part in it? I don't have any part in it. So, you like, I don't even want to go there because it's complete nonsense. But this is a phrase that gets a lot of traction. Is AA a cult? And so I'm going to say yes. I'm not calling it a baby cult anymore. I said that kind of in jest, hold on, let me just see what's going on over here. Nothing. All right. I just didn't see what was going on. That what are things that people can do when they leave, right? I talk about deprogramming a lot, and what I did was I read a lot of books, and these books were about other things. And I was really shocked that there were other programs that existed when I left. And what are some of these books? So I'm just going to quickly go through it. So this is called Beyond Addiction. And this book is by Jeff Foote and Carrie Walkins and Nicole Cosante with Stephen Higgs. And they have a center in New York that is an outpatient place, and they have a place that's also in Connecticut, which is a very expensive high-end rehab. Outgrowing Addiction is a book by Stanton Peele and Zach Rhodes. Zach is a younger guy. Stanton Peele has been around forever, and that's another book. We have The Prime Drinker, and this is by Teresa Rodden. She found her own way. We have The Sober Truth, thin book, really great. When he left working back in Mass General, he worked in this field forever, a long time. He's actually a doctor. He's a psychiatrist, and right, isn't he? He's an MD. And wow, this is really a good start if you haven't read anything. You've Been Lied To by Hank Hayes. Great book. I don't know if it's still available. Next book, The Freedom Model. They sell a companion, a thinner one, thick, really comprehensive. They have a lot of great videos on YouTube. US of AA, fantastic book by Joe Miller. Oh my God, the history in this thing is amazing. And that's it for right now. But okay, so I say yes, it's a cult. It's a dangerous cult. If it weren't, the people who come into the Facebook groups who find me and write me these emails, these horrific stories, and you know, there's more coming in again about a lot of abuse, a lot of I don't know if I'm allowed to say this word on YouTube, but so I won't say it. I'll use the word assault, where there's a lot of assault going on. And this is a lot of stuff that's in the UK. I'm getting messages from people in, I know there was a lot of bad stuff going on in London, but I'm so far away, right? But I was there for a screening of my film. And I want you to know that if you find yourself going, this is like nuts. Oh, the whole part about being broken too, you know, that you're broken. Oh man, I bought into that. We're like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Oh my God, what a bunch of whores. What a bunch of crap. It's not true. We're not broken. I mean, there are people who are, I think, but most people are not. So problematic drug and alcohol use. No one says the word alcoholic, addict. The labels are so harmful. And what parents will do, forcing loved ones, husbands and wives, people, if you have a relationship that is destroyed, and there are people in the group who have relationships with their children or parents or aunts or uncles or workers, bosses, ruined. If it were not a cult, guys, okay, you want to argue with me? Put it down in the comments. If it were not a cult, people would be totally fine with, okay, you disagree with this, or, you know, you want to go to Smart Recovery, or you don't like the way that, you know, the sponsors are nuts now. Was I ever treated like this? Yeah, I think early on there was some stupid stuff said to me, but I was somehow able to say, you know what, you're crazy. Like, don't talk to me like that. I did that at 19 years old. Somebody in there, you are constitutionally incapable of understanding this simple program. Yeah, you're thank you, Brown, just somebody's in the chat room, that you are constitutionally incapable of being honest with yourself. You are not, Sarah, such unfortunate. Oh, you were born that way, right? Oh, you were born that way. No, actually, nobody is born like that. Nobody. And even people who become psychopaths or serial killers, you know, they do see stuff when they're really young, but they usually grow up in some kind of horrific setting. But we're not talking about the tiny bit of population. We are not broken. So the cult, and also the whole we and the us, and we are the ones who matter. And they teach you to become more of self-centered narcissist. Hate the word, but it's really true. If everybody's always bringing everything back to self, I know people with 40 years, 35 years, and they don't really know how to talk to me sometimes without bringing up the program. The program. What program? It's like the identity becomes just over the years enwrapped in how many years, and still looking back. I had a friend who was talking to me and I said, well, but you haven't had any drugs in like 40 years. Like, why are we talking about this? You know, so I mean, I wanted to just do a couple of short videos. I've been very inspired by some other podcasters that are on YouTube. I want people to be able to have a dialogue, to be able to disagree with me, to be able to, of course, you know, if you want to agree with me, you do. And if you need support in the groups, you can come into the Facebook groups. Like I said in the previous video, if you're not watching that, it's the Facebook groups are Leaving AA and Deprogramming from Alcoholics Anonymous, or any other 12-step group. So let me see. My sponsor had like 17 sponsees. He would go to meetings looking for vulnerable people to come study the big book at his apartment. Like there, okay, that somebody just posted. There's only one person there. But if I would have announced it and you have other people, there would be a ton, just a whole stream of these sick effing stories. And it's I'm just sick of it. I'm sick that AA is still this long lexicon that everybody thinks this is the go-to. No, it has to change. It's just time. It's really time for this to stop and for people to know, excuse me, that you're empowered. You're not powerless. You're empowered, not powerless, right? This is the secular choices are available today. Smart recovery, the freedom model, the Sinclair method, women for sobriety. I'm not sure if it still exists. Ham's harm reduction, moderation management, the Sinclair method. And I'll give a shout out to the C3 Foundation that Claudia Christian started, and I'm going to have her on as a guest. I'm going to be doing more interviews this year, bringing other people on. So that is her film is One Little Pill. I think you can see that on the internet. The Business of Recovery was a great movie. Also, Recovering from Recovery is a blog that was created a long time ago. Oh, okay. The Center for Motivation and Change is a fantastic place in New York. Craft for Families. So if you don't want to go to Al-Anon, right? The Orange Papers is also, it's a resource online. Families for a Sensible Drug Policy. The Clean Slate. I think that Stephen still has his, I don't know if he still has his blog, but there you go. Is AA a cult? Yeah, hell yeah. AA is a cult. And those are the reasons why when a group of people tell you how you have to talk, and they started doing that as soon as I got there. They were like, oh, use the word, start with your share, like, I am this, and I feel this, and I think this. But God forbid, eventually it's all about we and us, which they've already proved is a brainwashing tool. It's a brainwashing tool. And the government, the US government loved the fact, oh, here's another one. We cease fighting everything and everyone, right? What are you talking about? Like, why would you cease fighting anything, everything, and everyone? You're going to be a complete pacifist? Like, what if something, you're not going to fight for, getting another dollar or two, Oh, yeah, it's the language of AA. So that's the other one. Oh, I loved when the first person said this to me after I left, which was special language. And you see this in NXIVM, Scientology, any other cult. They all have special loaded language. All right. So I think I've mentioned like 4 or 5 things, definitely that makes it a cult. And I feel like I did my job today. Okay. So hold on, I'm running out of juice on my computer. Let me plug it in. So I want to thank you all for your support. Please subscribe. We got to 1,000. I just have to get to like 4,000 hours watched, and then I can begin to monetize, which I think is a great thing. And maybe I'll go on to Rumble or wherever these other people do these cool things and even make merchandise. I think there could be some t-shirts that I would love to wear when I go outside sometimes. Let's see. So we have some other people here. Ham's concept of simply counting drinks and knowing where you're at was the most helpful for me. So there you go. Hi, Tom. Been a long time since we talked. That's true. So I learned so much. Did I mention moderation management? I don't think I did. It's not I did. I don't know how big it is. It's interesting that with COVID, like it could have a really good online presence with Zoom. If somebody wanted to make that happen, you could be anywhere in the world and join. But I took a friend to the one meeting I knew about when that person got a DUI. And I was sitting in those moderation management meetings that were, so attacked, but, oh, the woman who created it, she got drunk and she did, it doesn't matter. Like if we were to look at all the horrible things that AA people who've gone to AA, all the people that they killed when they went back on the road drunk and it didn't work, there would just be probably tens of thousands of those people, right? Like I find them all the time in the news. So what did someone else say? Orange papers saved my life along with harm reduction. Yeah, so these are hams. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought with reading the chat stuff. Is that harm reduction, or to reduce the harm? That's what I was talking about. Was in moderation management, that they talked about drinking a glass of water after each drink, kind of making a plan, telling people, like, so one guy, it was really interesting. He was a musician, he was always in bars, and he couldn't drink the hard stuff, but he found that if he had a beer, he could just sip it. And so that was the improvement for him. Now, some people need to take a break, like a hardcore break, and that's great. And so I encourage people who want to stop, who want to reduce, and even there's a new group. I don't know the name right now, sorry, but it's a woman who started a group where dry January was too hard for her. And so instead of saying, oh, I failed and I got to start over, no, you don't need to start over. You don't need to start over. And that's where smart recovery is like that. You say, no. So imagine this, you're on the freeway and you get off the freeway, and that's where you had the drinks that you didn't really want to have. And maybe you had a little slip up, or you had a little, not a positive experience and had more than you wanted. You don't drive back to where you don't go back to San Diego if you're already in Oceanside. You get back on the freeway and you head up to LA or wherever the hell you're going. And so this is the part where I think AA really, they're so punitive. They're so, for me, it was so easy to quit when I quit. I was just so done. And I didn't drink for 37 years or something. But there's people, it's really, really hard. It's really hard for them. So when they get 30 days, oh my God, that's like a really long time. But in AA, they minimize it. At first, they're like, oh, they're clapping for people. And then they're like, pat you on the head and be like, well, that's, come back when you have 5 years. Like, you don't really have spiritual sobriety until you have 5 years. They're fucking crazy. Like, that's not true. It's not true at all. In fact, those people, when I was leaving, the people that I connected the most with were the newer people, because they were still connected to reality. They were still connected to how difficult it was for them, or the trauma they went through, or maybe that DUI, or maybe spending a night in jail as a woman. Those people were still, and don't get me wrong, I knew plenty of really, really good women and men in AA who, some of them are still there, who I'm still friends with, some of them, and they're really great people. And we just don't talk about it. Or if we do, we kind of just say, okay, yeah, I disagree, but you can have your opinion. Because that's what normal people do, is they're able to say, I feel this way, and you get to have your opinion. Or my experience tells me this, right? So let's see. Somebody said here, I hide from members. Orange paper saved my life with harm reduction. And it's great. I think that these are, I feel like we need a bigger platform, just somewhere bigger. And I think we'll get there. I do. I think that these people are coming together, whether it's the Freedom Model people and Mark Sharon and Michelle Dunbar. And there's just really a lot of really good people who left. Some people were never in it, but many people were and have left. So there you go. There's my part 2 of, is AA a cult? Why is AA a cult? And there's a good 5 things. And I don't know if I've covered the bit model, and I don't care. I don't care, because you know what? I am an expert on Alcoholics Anonymous, and the crap that is spewed, that I see what people have had to put up with. And you know what's good about what happened with the last 2.5 years with the virus, is that people saw the light. They saw it in other things. We saw it play out politically. We saw it play out with all kinds of other ideologies, right? No, AA needs to take a backseat to whether it's harm reduction, whether it's smart recovery, whether it's the Freedom Model, the Sinclair method, the Women for Sobriety, moderation management, LifeRING, HAMS harm reduction, or plant-based medicine with seeing a therapist to guide you through that. And so I think I'm pretty done with this one. There's a few more chatting. Hi, everybody. Let me just say hi and thank you for joining. And, spread the love. Spread the love. because when I watched this movie, Women Talking, uh, I was really moved by the dialogue and the similarity of a fight that I have read online in the groups on Facebook when people talk about she said this to me and I said that and I think this and they said these are steppers. These are sponsors. First of all, let me just say sponsors are out of control. And you know what? That's going to be I'm going to just do another short video. Sponsors are out of their effing minds right now. What I see about control is nuts, is really bad. And I only had a few experiences where people said stuff to me and they always backed away. And it was a long time ago. All right. So everybody subscribes, please smash that like button, share everywhere you feel like it. And if you have any comments, you disagree with me, you want me to talk about a different subject, you'd like to be a guest on my show, you have an idea, you can reach me at makeaasafer@gmail.com. And I look forward to actually doing some other types of interviews. So I'm going to continue on this road that I'm on with exposing Alcoholics Anonymous and educating people on the alternative treatments. Not that they're alternative treatments, they're actually real help, real treatment. And one other note, Bill Wilson used a strong hallucinogen and a depressant. For 3 days, they gave him this cocktail where he hallucinated with this, which was, we can talk about psilocybin or like a hallucinogenic that actually is curing alcohol use disorder, curing it. And then you have ibogaine for, and I think I should do another thing on plant-based medicine. So I'll just stop it at that. But guys, thank you so much. Thank you for the support. I reached my goal with my over 1,000 subscribers. We'll just keep on going and have a great Friday. Let's spring in 2023 with getting bigger and stronger and pushing back on the crazy cult of Alcoholics Anonymous. All right, everybody. Great to see you, Tom. I hope everything is well. And with everybody else, Brown, and who I see here in my chat, I'll be here again another time. Take care and good night. Have a good weekend.